Welcome to Jersey Matters. I'm Larry Menti. We come to you from Newark, New Jersey. In just a moment, we are going to go inside to talk to Eliana Pintor Marin, who is the co-chair of the investigative committee into claims by Katie Brennan, a member of the Murphy administration, that she was raped by another member of the administration. And although she told her superiors, they did nothing about it. Also on today's show, as those hearings continue, we talk to an advocate for rape victims who says there may be a problem with the culture inside the Murphy administration, and a hepatitis breakout at a medical center in Saddlebrook. We have a report. Also, what do you do with your old glasses? We can help you put them to use for people that really need them. And now we go inside for our interview with Assemblywoman Eliana Pintor Marin, who is co-chair of an investigative committee into a scandal inside the Murphy administration. You've had 4 days of hearings now, and you've gone through several witnesses. So before I ask specific questions, I just want to get a general sense of where you are right now, how you're feeling about this.
I think that so far the committee's been very good in doing what it is that they were called to do, and that is to try to figure out within some of the things that have come up in certain testimony, at the end result, some policies and procedures that we need to really take on to move forward.
The title of it is an investigative committee. And so you're investigating what exactly? What went wrong, or who's responsible?
I think it's more what went wrong throughout the process. Not so much, I would say, who was the ultimate responsible person. I think that in the last 4 hearings, we've gotten to hear a lot of testimony, and I think that many people could have said something. So I don't think at this moment in time there was one particular person that was the cause of this end-all be-all. But I think that there was multiple levels where it shows that there was failure.
Because I think that some people look with scrutiny at this committee. And when you say it's less about who's responsible, there is a feeling that the person at the top has to bear some responsibility. And it seems like you might be skirting around not wanting to go after the governor, not call the governor, not lay any blame on the governor's desk.
I don't think that that's how we've acted as a committee. I think that the people who we've called are people that directly respond or report to the governor. I think that, of course, you're always the one to blame when you're on top. But I'm not so sure that it was ultimately one person. I think it was actually different levels within the one office.
It seems to defy credibility, and please correct me if I'm wrong on this, that the governor couldn't have known about this when everybody in his inner circle did know.
Well, I think if it's one thing that I always tell my staff, I know sometimes it might be difficult to tell me something that you might not want me to know about, because whether I'm going to get upset or whatever the reason is, it's always better for me to know. That way I know how to react to things. And I think that here, whether he knew or didn't know, right now we have no evidence that he knew about this.
You have an email. You have an email where he said, "We know you well, hang in there, we're on it." Wouldn't you want to know what that meant?
Well, according to what everyone has said, and this is why he didn't meet directly with Ms. Brennan, was that since in her email she referred to campaign, he really didn't want to kind of touch that and felt that it was better off having the attorney handle it.
I talked to your co-chair, Loretta Weinberg, specifically about the governor and if the governor would be called to testify. And she said it's too early to make that decision. We're talking it over. And I responded with, wouldn't you have to at this point? And she said, just because I said we're considering it doesn't mean we're not going to. Is that where you're at too?
I think so, yes. I think that we still have a few more people to get through in order to really, as a committee and as co-chairs, determine whether we see the need to have the governor come.
It's interesting because Loretta Weinberg also said that she is, and you could see it in her, that she was kind of pained by this because she said, look, I believe in this governor. I believe in his agenda. He's progressive like I am. And he's a Democrat, and I'm loyal to him. So this is a difficult position to be in because I also believe in the rights of women, especially when they've been wronged. Is that where you're at?
Well, first of all, Loretta, I have tremendous respect for her just because of what she stands for and how long she's been in politics, right? She's really one of those few women that have helped people like me be able to get into the legislature. So I completely understand. This does pain her. And I think at the end of the day, for me personally, it's hard because it doesn't matter if it's Phil Murphy or whoever it is, it's the governor, right? You don't want to have anything disrespectful happen. And I think that this is why we've been kind of very poignant in what it is that we discuss in our committee. We try to stick to the resolution that we formed in order to really discover what it is that we need to come up with a conclusion. I don't think that we're going to come up with a conclusion saying this one person is the ultimate responsible one, but I think that the conclusion is really coming out of this to show that, you know, government is chaotic. And especially during that point in time when there was a new person coming in, we understand that, but at what level and who's going to be responsible for certain things needs to also be established.
As you look at all the people that are taking the stand, almost all of them are men. And they were making all of these decisions. And then there was a woman that was the superior of Al Alvarez who was left out of the decision. It sounds like purposely she was left out. I don't know how you don't tell her that. Is that your feeling on this, that she was left out of the decision making?
I think that we made that clear to her when we even asked her, do you feel that you were compromised? Do you feel that you should have been told, at least given the respect, and say, listen, this person under you, this is the situation, we've given him a timeline, just something, just give her the heads up. Because God forbid something would have happened under her watch, you know, ultimately she would have been the one that would be responsible.
Doesn't that show some intent, certainly some culpability, if not with the governor's office, at least with the chief of staff and the chief legal counsel?
Well, I think that from what we've heard so far, the culpability is quite widespread.
When you say widespread, what do you mean by that?
Well, I think it's everyone kind of pointing fingers at each other. No one taking the ownership of saying, you know what, the buck stops here. I'm going to have to do something about the situation. And I think that that's what we've seen so far. And especially with Lizette. I mean, to me, how no one had told her, how no one had warned her.
But you just made the strongest argument as to why you need to call the governor.
Very good. Well, I myself do not make all the decisions. So
how do you feel?
As look, you know what, to be honest with you, I don't know what else he would come in to say differently than what he's told us, right? I think that his staff has spoken enough for him.
So you're leaning against it?
I'm not really leaning against it. I think that we still have Matt to go and Matt to come in and speak. We still have to finish the chief of staff. And then I think that based on those, we're going to determine what it is that we should do next, who we should call next, or what procedure to follow next.
I understand. It's a tough call. Mm-hmm. I get how difficult
and we all have to
is.
agree. We all have to agree on it, on who it is that we call next.
Are you worried at all how it might look if you don't call the governor at this point?
No, because I think that the true meaning of what this committee was formed was to come out with real reforms, was really to come out with a better procedure of when someone gets hired, especially at a higher level, what it is that they need to do in order to be employed, what they need to receive, what mentorship they need to be, whether training or whatever it is, and what background checks need to happen. I think that's the real role of the committee.
I know there's a few other things going on in Trenton, and
No.
I'd like to continue the conversation by talking about them as we continue our conversation with Assemblywoman Eliana Pintor Marin when Jersey Matters continues.